we are switching directly to the discussion. I, for myself, very happy that the conference from Quantum Flagship takes place 1 month after our conference, so we're not directly competing, but a little bit. So I will like to invite back on stage Laure Le Bars, the president of the Quantum Industry Consortium Association, Industry Consortium, punct. And to join them on stage, I would like to invite Ingolf Wittmann. Currently, Ingolf Wittmann is an independent technology analyst and consultant, and he has a very diverse and extensive background in high-performance computing, quantum computing, and from the academic perspective to business perspective. And he has a rich history at IBM, which includes technical director roles in IBM Global Market, Quantum Ambassador, Global Leader, CTO, and leader of HPC in Europe. And he also played a very important and pivotal role in establishing the connection, establishing the collaboration between IBM Q-System 1 in Enningen together with Fraunhofer. And he is also a founding member of our Bitcoin working group on high performance and quantum computing, and basically also one of the ideators behind the Quantum Summit as well. So yes, I'm very happy to have you all three here. And what I would like to discuss with you is where are we as Europe positioned in a global landscape? Do we stand a chance in a global competition? And if yes, how and like where do we need to strengthen at the moment? We already heard a lot about the European initiatives, and of course we are very excited to know what's coming next in a couple of months. But maybe to begin with, you mentioned, Gustav, that we're very well positioned as Europe. And I would like you, could you probably elaborate, what does it mean that we are well positioned, in which areas we are well positioned, and how do we understand that we are well positioned?
Yes. First of all, we have a very large, and I mentioned it on my slides, the largest number of professionals in the field. And we have many other regions in the world that constantly knock on my door saying, can we team up with you because we would like to tap on your expertise that we don't have in-house. But there's also another aspect that we should not overlook is for tradition, since we started in 1999, the Quantum Initiative, we have always been extremely well connected throughout Europe in the different competence centers in quantum, in an area where no region basically has all the knowledge or competences by itself, and this connectivity, sharing resources, sharing knowledge was what allowed to make the strengths. And when we talk about shared resources for quantum computing or communication, there's no discussion. Everyone is used to work across boundaries. Also, we are the largest region in the world with public investment. And we have also a very dynamic young entrepreneurship with all the SMEs, and would like to keep that dynamism. And as I mentioned in my talk, the only risk we have there is that we need to step up our private investment to help those companies grow and in order to reach the final aim of building the Quantum Valley.
Thank you very much. I would like now to ask Laure, do you see it similarly with regards to strengths of the European ecosystem, and maybe if you have an opinion, what would be the weaknesses, apart maybe from the private investments that were already mentioned?
I was about mentioning it. No, I think, yeah, we are, first we talk about a lot of technologies, and some are more mature than others. And everybody is talking about quantum computing the last years, this is a hype, etc. But we should not forget, and that has been mentioned several times, all those sensings and metrology, photonics are, I mean, there is a track record of success, a commercial success from European companies, smaller or bigger, but that's for quite a long time. Even if it's not like, you know, the things that we find on the shelves that is known by everybody in the public, and it's so there is a lot. I mean, we mentioned also gravimetry. We mentioned there are plenty of little things, plenty of little components as well. Sometimes those companies are really niche oriented, but they are essential part of another bigger technology. And we mentioned communication. There could be so satellites stuff. There could be everything related to communication. Those I think Tommaso today mentioned this volcano or earthquake sensors, etc. So we should not forget that, and we should capitalize on this. And by the way, when we build this part of this industrial roadmap, we look at those critical components, for example. Trying, because of course it's important. I mean, everybody knows about the chips. If there is an issue on the value chain, or at least the shipment of some components, that could be a big issue, or some countries that are not able to ship anymore. But that's true for plenty of technologies as well. So that's something also where we have to be careful. So if we talk about weakness, of course there are weaknesses here and there. But funny enough, I forgot the exact because it's not my yard. But there are a couple of cases where the critical component, there may be only one or two producers worldwide, and they happen to be in Europe. Mm. So that's a positive aspect. But of course, I mean, it's as Gustav mentioned, this is a lot of investment. So that's important, and that's important to continue forward, not just helping the startup that has a nice idea out of the research, but really looking on the long way.
Thank you very much. Ingolf, do you have something to add on this? Do you have a different perspective about strong positions and weaker positions of the European ecosystem as a whole?
So I was on both sides, so on the industry side, on the technical side, and also on the academic side. And one of the big strengths is the public funding, as Gustav Kalbe was mentioning it, bringing together the different parties. So the technology providers, the industry who is using such type of technology, but also the academic area. The weakness here is looking to Europe, looking to Germany, looking to the states of Germany. Everybody is having a different program, combining different things together, and to digging through that for companies, especially for end users like BASF or Daimler or Deutsche Bank, to figure out where to invest, where to go, where to collaborate at the end. It's a little bit hard. We do have the biggest technical community in the world, all over the other geos, covering quantum mechanics topics in every stage. When I was building my team for IBM on a worldwide level, when I was calling out in the community, in the technical community, within Europe, in 2 weeks, I was having 50 hands on board with the technical background for quantum computing and quantum mechanics. You just have to bring those guys together. And every company, every bigger company who's doing research or development in such type of direction is having physics and math people on board. You just have to bring those people together in jobs covering quantum computing and quantum mechanics, and not misusing those guys for data science.
I think our colleagues on a different stage would probably not agree with this.
It was quite interesting to see, because the AI conference here combined with the Quantum Summit, I was talking to some of the AI people, and they were sneaking in our sessions here, saying, "Oh, that's cool," and that's what I was doing 20 years before in my studies. So maybe I should move over to that side of business.
Well, I do hope that we will gain some of them here through this, at least this conference. Thank you very much, Ingolf. So I would like to go back now to the Quantum Flagship program and the initiatives that were taking place on the European level. And you, Gustav and Tommaso, you both mentioned that it's now basically the middle through this program. And how would you assess the progress thus far of the program? And based on what would you measure? Was it been successful? Did it fulfill the expectations? Are we lagging a bit behind? How would you assess it?
Yeah, I mean, here I have to be very honest. It exceeded our expectations. When we launched the flagship in 2018, there was quite an extensive concern, in particular in the scientific community, saying it's too early. We're not there yet. We still need to do a lot of fundamental research. But we had, on purpose, set very ambitious targets that, we want to build practical quantum computers. We want to have devices for quantum networks and so on. And when we looked at the end of the first generation of flagship projects, and Professor Kalbe on his slides gave some highlights, it was so much advanced that we could start the deployment of the quantum infrastructures. We're not anticipating that we could introduce so soon quantum computing in the supercomputing network. We're not imagining that we'd be able to build up a Euro-wide backbone with satellites on quantum communications. The number of startup companies that were emerging from the project, I mean, it was on average one startup company per project, one spin-off product per project. I mean, it was a program 120, 150 million, but it made a big step forward. So for us, the flagship itself was a huge success and triggered all the other measures that we have around the deployment of infrastructure, the equity investment, setting up the quantum fund, now being part of the CHIPS Act as one of the emerging technologies for computation, for communication that is to be seen at the same level as any other microelectronics. So for us, this was the real big eye-opener, and makes my life more difficult because now I have 5 or 6 programs to coordinate, and we trust that with now the cycle we established between the flagship and the other programs, notably the deployment, that we can keep this cycle of flagship developed technology that is then later taken up by the infrastructure that we have set up for precisely that purpose.
Mm-hmm. So you, for example, already mentioned that the integration of quantum computing, as quantum chips, in the HPC infrastructures. With regards to quantum computing, how, what other, indicators for you that you are going forward with the development? Are you looking at the, simply, like we discussed in a lot, the number of qubits, or how far the progress the different development platforms that were funded through there?
Our principal metric is not the number of qubit. I mean, this is not an Olympic competition. What is really the breakthrough to be made to introduce quantum computing as a well-accepted technology is now showing what are the practical problems it can solve. For which type of setting does it make sense, and for which other problems you don't need quantum and you can continue with a classical computing. So if we are not managing this next 3 or 4 years to build up a large library of applications that we can make available, it will end up in a hype saying, okay, quantum technology is maybe a good idea, but it doesn't work. It doesn't solve real problems. So if we don't manage to break that point, it will be very difficult to have companies investing it to buy quantum computers or to make them available or to invest in companies that are producing it. If we don't manage to show that there is a practical advantage and that this is more than just a niche product.
Mm-hmm. So maybe another question to the industry. I will start with you, Laure. How did you perceive the progress of the quantum flagship from the industry perspective?
Maybe here I will take my SAP hat for a minute. And that's probably along with what Ingolf was saying. SAP is some are at the end of the chain. We need a computer that is stable, reliable, universal, etc. I mean, we really need something, but we need to prepare this. And definitely plenty of aspects. And here I speak, I mean, my background is software developer, AI. I did my thesis in AI. I'm not a quantum physicist at all. But that's, I mean, this is promising. We know there is something. So we talk about there are use cases, etc. But for us, it's the first baby steps. It's like to prove that there is a benefit, but also to say, okay, how do we handle it? What is the way of how do we program those quantum computers? And there will be will be a combination of both. So what is really important for the industry as well is to prepare this hybrid architecture, to prepare this, how to take the best of each world. And we talk about computing here and AI, but there are plenty of other stuff. So how to prepare this future. This is complicated, but at the same time, this is where Europe is good. I mean, we are the leaders in terms of software, not only in terms of brains, but also in terms of application and industry application especially. And this, but it has to go for the research, has to go for the innovation. But I think we are preparing the right steps to that. And here the flagship was helping to bring together the research and the industry, smaller or larger, but really think of those problems and doing those first baby steps. And this is key for us. And I mean, private investment are needed as well. So it's quite complex, but I think everybody knows now where we are going. There are plenty of also basis technologies. So you heard about superconducting on this. Nobody knows what will work. At some point, we don't care, maybe all together. It's just we have to look at this software layer and okay, we take the best in all cases. They will, same way it cohabits, let's say this way, in the classical way. We have plenty of providers, Americans, Europeans, and that's a different application, different use. Some are best for others. So I think this is what we have to look at the long term, to look at what do we want to achieve, and not just solving a specific use case and okay, we have a solution, great, we have what we call an advantage or so. No, the idea is not that. The idea is really to prepare this future and have this combined, take the best of each one.
Thank you. How is it perceived from the more German perspective? You already mentioned, like when you look from the member state position, there's a lot of going on the state level, on the federal level, like and the European level. How did German industry, if you can speak for it in general, perceived the progress brought by Flagship?
So a lot of criticism was taken away when Gustav and Tommaso was doing their pre-announcement. It's coming up at the end of the year. Because I have seen that the European Commission and the Flagship program was going in the direction like the HPC program was going, where the industry was not really part of the HPC strategy. With the quick, there was a footprint done, and we have to look not only to the big, super quantum computer who's solving in 10 years or in 20 years all the problems. Tommaso was raising up the Samsung A71, which is since 1.5 years in the market in South Korea. So that is one of the quantum technologies which you can use within the industry today, and there are many others. You just have to build around the software ecosystem, in that case with the industry like health industry, banking environment, security industry, to make secure communication between your mobile phone and the application in the back. So that means we have to look also to other types of technology like communication, like sensing. And sensing is a core environment, and I'm also working very closely together with the Fraunhofer IAF in Freiburg, where we are building up this diamond technology. There are so many current use cases where we can use quantum technology today. We just have to integrate that in the total environment. And last advice from my side would be superconducting. Other geos are far ahead of Europe. So we just have to adapt superconducting technology from the other countries who are ahead of us. We are good in diamonds, in AV center, in photonics, and other type of technologies. There we are leading in the world. So let's focus there on development and bringing forward the ecosystem and the environment and integrate the other ones and working closely together with them and invite international companies to work on Europe level. And there we cover that later on. The IP topic is a very interesting topic here.
Yeah, so you already mentioned the IP topic, the collaboration topic. Maybe we can go now to this topic that we can maybe name as technology sovereignty. I'm looking at the time because I have many questions and many interesting topics that I would like to discuss with you. But maybe on the topic of technological sovereignty. Maybe Gustav, can you just tell us how is that perceived in the context of quantum computing from the perspective of European Commission? What is, so to say, an overarching goal? Like, where would we like to be in terms of sovereignty?
Yes. I mean, this is a delicate topic. So you have seen a number of press articles probably the last couple of years. But when you go back 2 years with the COVID pandemic, if you go back with the Ukraine war, suddenly our political leaders realized how exposed and how vulnerable we are on a number of technologies, a number of products that are vital for the functioning of our economy, society, security, and so on. And here, with the whole discussion about the chip shortage that we had in 21, was clear if with the CHIPS Act, we're trying to regain ground on the classical microelectronic side. On the quantum side, where there's no dominant player in the world, there's no dominant region, everyone is in the starting blocks, we really have the opportunity to make sure we are keeping the technology sovereignty in our hands. And I like the example of Mr. Wittmann. Doesn't mean that we have to have everything in-house, but we must be able to control the supply chain to such a way and have the access to the IP whenever we need it, that we can use the quantum technology the way we need it for securing our digital economy, for being at the forefront of computing power, for being able to supply medical devices with unprecedented precision. And therefore, we said, let's first protect our interests by making sure that the promising results we're seeing, that all investments we made previously in research and development, we also take advantage of it. And you will see coming up now in the economic security strategy, you will find further measures to make sure that in key strategic technologies, and quantum is explicitly part of that, we are not losing out as we did 30 years ago on microelectronics, on IT, where for one or other reasons we are not able to capitalize on the massive competence and know-how and investments that we had, and are now dependent on the goodwill of certain regions.
And speaking that you mentioned protecting the developments here, securing the developments that we have in Europe, how does it affect the industry and the development of startups? Do you to see it as a limiting factor for growing startup infrastructure, maybe when startups have these limitations regarding...
Absolutely. So yesterday, Michael Förtsch from Quant was giving a talk, and he was saying the IP has to stay with the company. So if Quant is developing something here in Germany, or with the support of the German government, for example, but they should be able also to take that and use it outside Europe, in collaboration with others. And vice versa, coming companies, international companies, big companies, South Korea, Japan, or the US, working with European organizations and companies and building up their IP. That should be shared IP. That should not be limited to Europe or to Germany. Otherwise, we are limiting ourselves in cooperation, international cooperation on that. So it's just fine-tuning, I would say. It's not, we should really take care. Everything which is invented in Germany and Europe has to stay in Germany and Europe, but could be used also outside.
So do you think you can, you would be able to find this compromise and to implement it in the
I don't think
common ground?
I don't think that there is any contradiction. Where we insist as European Commission, we say if the IP is developed in Germany or European Union, it should stay there. What we have seen so many times in the past, and that's a situation we cannot accept, is we develop by ourselves or in a partnership with other companies, IP here, then this is moved to another region, and then we have to buy the products back and pay the license. So we're saying we can develop the IP here, it should be protected here, it should be exploited, but of course this does not exclude those companies from using it outside and establish other markets outside the European Union. Of course, that's also in our interest, but we don't want that the IP moves outside of our control.
Thank you very much. Looking at the time, I'm very sorry that it's so short, because really not able to cover all the topics that I would like to speak to you about. So maybe just as a last point, as a last question, we here have representatives of European Commission, European Industry Consortium, and a representation from also Germany Industry Association or Germany industry stakeholders. How is, from your perspective, the exchange between all those stakeholders working now, and how maybe this could be even more enhanced to have this two-way dialogue between all the stakeholders, not just on the European level, but also with all, I mean, Germany is a big member state, but we also have different member states, which I probably don't know what's going on there, and how can we enhance it? Are there any wishes from the European Commission on that side?
No, definitely would like to turn the question back to you. Can you provide me with the solution? Because, no, I'm just kidding. The field of quantum is now expanding in so many other domains. I mean, it used to be just a very small, very well-defined science community, and then supply industry came. But now we have the users. We have my counterparts in the national ministries. We have the other sectors like AI, like public health. How are we going to keep a close dialogue with all these actors to make sure that we set the focus on the right priorities to have everyone grow? So
to talk about this together, I guess we have to continue talking about it. Laure, from the perspective of SAP as one company, and from the perspective of Quick representative so many companies.
Yeah, but that's Gustav said, this is pretty complex, but this is one of the things we would like to achieve as Quick, making sure we and as SAP, maybe I can say it, sometimes it's complicated I mean, having the European program and the national program, etc. Some are not really linked together, so it's important that national programs are really, I don't want to say aligned, but complementary at least, or interacting with you know, to pile up and not just having Germany against France or whatsoever. That's I mean, to use this, how could you say, synergy at some point. And I think this is also something we try to achieve inside Quick, not just informing our members of what exists locally as national fundings or private fundings, but really trying to influence this way and having this dialogue. That's important, to making sure it's not like, you know, everybody is defining something in its corner and it's just piling up and it's not really useful, or sometimes doubling the effort for nothing.
So
this is complex, I agree, but this will be key. I mean, unless it will be stupid.
I can totally agree. When you're looking to the agenda here on the Quantum Summit, looking on the organizations who are here and presenting their stuff. And many industry organizations or organizations who are taking care about a specific part, like QBN, like Bitkom, for example, Quick on Europe level, then the investors, and everybody is providing some, let's say, for their specific community informations and trying to drive something, but that's not harmonized. So it should be something over that is really bringing all these people on a desk, and then having the industry perspective, technology provide perspective, and the academic and the government funds on one table, and trying to harmonize and bringing out a strategy. I know we have many European countries, we have states in Germany, and to coordinate that, it's really a high stake.
Very good. I think we agreed that it's difficult. Now we need to find how to do it. And maybe next year when we meet here, we will have some progress.
So for Germany, we already agreed with Tommaso that we are building something.
All right. Then we will let you know next year. And I hope you will join us also next year. Thank you very much again for joining us for discussion. Maybe a round of applause for all our speakers.